Hi guys, I'm Robert and I'd like to welcome you here to Apex at the Nürburgring. Today I'm joined with Tim. Tim is one of our taxi drivers and our race drivers for Apex Racing, and we have something special for you today. We have the Michelin Cup2 R competition, qualifying, road slick, whatever you want to call it. We haven't quite figured out a name that we would like to refer to it as because it really is a special tire. It's a tire that Michelin really did develop for that fast lap. It's something that the best way I could equate it to would be to a slick that you can go out on a fresh set of slicks and you can really set a fast lap, but you're going to degrade the long-term longevity, I guess, durability of that tire. Or you can go out and you can drive it at a reasonable but still fast pace and get maybe 10 laps out of it, which would be one stint of a VLN race or something like that. And however, it's a street legal tire, it's a road legal tire that is perfect for guys who are wanting to run track days and TF, maybe run less laps than they might actually run on the normal Cup 2 or on something else, but they're going to have more confidence in the car by doing so. Tim has been out and he's run several laps on this tire, and he can give you his first impression just out from the gate on the tire and what it really felt like on the car.
Yeah, I mean, obviously before we went out and drove the tire, we did speak to Manta about what they expect us to feel. And they described it as going from a winter tyre to a summer tyre. I wouldn't say the difference is quite so drastic, but I do understand the comparison they were making. You have a lot more stability in the car, the initial turning better, the initial braking's better. When you get on the gas, the initial feedback's better in that respect. So in terms of compound and the way the structure is put together on the tyre, it gives you a much better feedback in the car and lets you really feel how the car was developed and designed around this tyre, especially in our case with the MR package.
Right.
You know, this car was designed with suspension and aero
With this tire in mind.
for this tyre.
Yeah, exactly.
And that allows you to feel and enjoy, you know, what it is capable of.
So let's talk a little bit about the tire itself. I mean, we can look at it and go into a little bit of detail here, and maybe we'll do some really advanced camber on this thing, right? So this tire right here actually has two compounds, right?
Yep.
The outside compound we would look at to be more of like a racing slick.
Yep.
And the inside compound I would say could compare more to a Cup 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously some differences to a normal Cup 2, but it's what feels more to what we're used to with a normal Cup 2 tyre.
And the reason that they have this right here is you've got this outside section with a more softer compound, a more performance mix, and the inside is actually set up to handle the load of the car, but also rain as well. So you can see you have different tread depths and everything like that. And as you rotate down the tire, you'll notice that this is the outside of the tire here, okay? And this is the inside of the tire. When a car has camber and it's going down the straightaway, it's like this. Obviously this is a good 20 degrees of camber, so this thing should have great turn-in, right? But this is a very extreme case of what I'm explaining. But right now the car's on a straightaway and it's going down the straightaway, and it is using that inside line of the tire, and that's why it needs the harder compound, the more sustainable compound on the inside.
With the braking and the power, that's all where all the load's going through in a straight line.
Now we're going to start slowing down and we're going to start turning into the turn, and as we start turning into the turn, we're now shifting most of our pressure to the outside of the tire.
Yep.
As we switch to the outside of the tire, now we are running on this softer compound, the more slick-like compound, where now the load is on the outside of the tire, and that gives us the ultimate grip.
And the support and the feedback that this tire does give you. Yeah.
So that's why we have a dual mixture. We're going from the hard mixture here when it's loaded up on this side. Now we're loading into the turn, and we're in the turn, and now we're on the race compound. We're getting that feeling from that beautiful sidewall. We're getting the race compound on the tire, and it's a nice mix between the two. If you ran this compound all the way to here, it might feel good through 3 turns until this inside was completely worn out, because that's where, like Tim says, that's where your pressure is, that's where your braking is in a straight line.
And also, it's also about managing the heat. So you can, if you look at this band here, you can see this is clearly overheated, which is why you get this extreme graining. This tyre came off the car, I think, after one of its quickest laps, immediately after.
Right.
And you can see here that this is through overheating. On the outside, it's not so bad, but on the inside, you know, 700 horsepower going through the rear wheels.
Right.
These are the effects. But this is also something you need to bear in mind, because on a regular Cup 2 you wouldn't see this.
No, you wouldn't.
Especially not after 3 or 4 hot laps.
Yes, exactly.
So it's also something that they factor in when building this dual compound, that you couldn't physically run this all the way across
One of the things that we were speaking about just in private when Tim and I were talking about it is that you have the Trofeo R, which is also a dual compound tire. You have the, obviously looks very much like a slick on the outside, little tread pattern, and then more so on the inside. But on the Cup R, or on the Trofeo R, you notice that when you transition, you can actually feel it switching between the compounds. And that's something that a lot of people don't like, even though it is a very fast tire.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like that unnerving feeling of never really knowing where the tire's at. Whereas you don't feel that transition so much with this tire. It feels more like one constant compound.
And so that is one nice thing that we do really like about this tire. We will say that we have to go out at the paces that we're running with this tire. We have to go out and run a warm-up lap, and then you come in, you set the tire pressures, and then you do a fast lap. Tim tried one time to do a second fast lap, and it was just overheated the tire. It was just too much for the tire. So I think it's important to talk about something now, and that's who is this tire for, right? There's a lot of discussion about this tire making you faster, and there's one thing that I will say very clearly is that we don't lap time. That's something that we don't promote on TF. On track days, obviously, people can do whatever they want as long as the track day organizer is set. But in all reality, whether we're sitting there with a timer in our car or not, we know how fast people are going. It's just something that you do know. So I see this tire being in the range of the TF guy who runs maybe from a 725 up to a 740. He's going to put this tire on because he wants to feel better in the car, and he wants to maybe improve 5 or 10 seconds and just pick up the pace a little bit and have heightened awareness of what his car's doing. And he says, look, I'm out here for fun. I'm a hobbyist, and I want to get the most out of my car with my driving skills. And he's going to pick up that time. Now, this guy, in my opinion, is probably going to get 725 to 740 range. He's probably going to get around 25, probably closer to 30 laps out of this tire.
I think that's fair to say.
Right. Now, then you've got the guy who's going to be in between that, and he's going to be, I want to say more of a moderate pace, intermediate pace, and he's probably running around a 7-minute to a 720 on a Cup 2.
Cup 2, yeah.
Okay, and that guy who's in the 7-minute to 720 on a normal Cup 2, he's going to put this tire on, and he's going to immediately have more confidence in the car, and that's going to let him maybe take another 5 seconds off of his lap time. It's not going to make the car faster, because the car's already faster than he's driving. But what it's going to do is make him feel more confident in the braking zones. It's going to make him feel more confident when the car's loaded up in the turns, and it's going to make him feel more confident when he powers out, and he's going to pick up some time and safety.
Yeah, and that's purely just by exploiting the performance that the car's already got within it.
Exactly.
Just unlocking that
because it's making you feel like, hey, I can do this.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the guy, let's go all the way to the other extreme. You've got the guy who's going out and doing a 6-minute 40.3 full lap, full kill. The car's completely set up with more camber, lower, everything, and this thing's coming off tire warmers, and they're going to do 1 lap on this tire. And his hope is to start with 100% tire and finish with 20% tire, because that 80% might be the window of performance for the tire, and if he can kill that entire 80% in 1 lap, he's done the fastest possible lap.
Job well done.
Right? So then you go to the next category, and that's the category of how we're using this car, right? We're using this car in a way that we went out with this Cup2 R, and we're running at a pace of around 638 to 644 BTG times, and we're getting about 7 to 8 laps out of this tire, and that's it. Okay, and that's not 7 to 8 back-to-back laps. If we were to do this 7 to 8 back-to-back laps, at that pace, the tire would be done in 3 laps, maybe 4 laps.
Yeah, for sure, and that's something that you have to consider when you are using this tire.
Right.
It's not something you can go out and beat on, lap after lap after lap. You have to sort of schedule your laps and make the most of the track time that you do have available.
So this tire, in my opinion, is actually for the guys who are in that 7-minute to 740 range, who want to go out and say, if you're doing the 7-minute range, you're doing maybe 20 to 25 laps on the tire. If you're in the higher end of that, maybe you're getting 30 laps out of the tire, right? If you're one of those guys, you're going to go out, you're going to do some fun laps on the tire, you're going to do some consistent laps on the tire, and you're going to feel really good about it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also what we always come back to is, how much enjoyment are you going to get out of it?
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed a little look into the Michelin Cup2 R. It's a neat tire, a fun tire, and one that I'm actually going to say right now is finished in terms of fast laps. We can't do any more of those 640 pace laps on the tire, but what we will do is put it back on and probably go out and do 4 or 5 more just cruising laps and just having a little bit of fun, in that other range that I was talking about, slowing it down 40 seconds and just go have a little bit of fun with it.
Go and use the rest of this tread depth that you've got left.
Exactly. There's plenty of tread depth left, so we might as well go use it and just know that it's not going to be there for the all-out performance. Cool. This tire we got from Manti Racing here in Moispot, so if you guys are looking for them, I know they have them for the GT3 RS, the GT2 RS. They do have them also for the Pista 488, that size. But I don't know every car that these are made for. You can find it online or ask Manti Racing, but they do have them in stock and ready to go. So
Cool.
hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you later.